Hello, English learners. Welcome back to Daily English Talks. Today, we're going to talk about something that so many learners dream of: watching English movies without needing subtitles. Imagine this. You sit down to watch your favorite film, the dialogue starts, and you understand every single word. You catch the jokes, the emotions, the little details, without even glancing at the bottom of the screen. That's what we're aiming for today. And the good news is, it's absolutely possible for you to get there, step by step. I know the feeling when you start watching a movie in English without subtitles, and after just a few minutes, you start to panic because you can't catch everything. Some sentences seem too fast. The pronunciation is unclear. Or maybe there are words you've never heard before, so you turn the subtitles back on, or you give up altogether. But here's the truth. Understanding movies without subtitles isn't about knowing every single word. It's about building the skill to catch the main meaning, follow the conversation, and enjoy the story. The first thing you need to know is English in movies is very different from the English you hear in your textbooks. In real movies, people speak quickly. They use contractions. They mix formal and informal language. Sometimes they mumble. Sometimes they talk over each other. And yes, they use a lot of slang. This is why, when you first try, it feels overwhelming. But with the right practice, your brain can adapt, and it will start to process spoken English much faster. Let's start with something simple you can do right now. Think about one of your favorite movies in English. A movie you've seen before with subtitles. Choose just one short scene, maybe 2 or 3 minutes long. Now, listen to it without subtitles. Don't try to understand every word. Just focus on the general feeling. Is it a happy scene? A serious one? And are the characters angry, excited, nervous? Your goal is to notice tone and emotion first, not the exact meaning. This way, you train your ear to pick up more than just words. After listening once, play the same scene again, but this time, try to catch key words. Listen for the nouns and verbs, the important words that carry the meaning. For example, if the scene is from a detective movie, you might hear evidence, suspect, interview, police station. Even if you miss the rest, those words give you the main idea. Now, here's a practice exercise for you. Close your eyes and imagine you are in a cinema. You're sitting in the middle of a row, surrounded by people. The movie is in English and there are no subtitles. The scene shows 2 friends talking in a coffee shop. One says, "I can't believe you did that." The other laughs and says, "Well, it was the only way to fix it." I want you to picture this conversation in your mind. Hear the tone of voice. Imagine the sound of coffee cups clinking in the background. Now, repeat the conversation out loud exactly as you heard it in your mind. This kind of mental listening practice is powerful. One mistake many learners make is they only watch a movie once and expect to understand it completely. But native speakers watch and rewatch scenes all the time. Sometimes even we miss things in fast dialogue. So here's my tip. Choose a short scene and watch it several times. The first time, just enjoy it. The second time, focus on listening for details. The third time, try shadowing. That means speaking along with the characters, copying their pronunciation and rhythm. Even if you can't match it perfectly at first, this trains your mouth and ears to work together. Another powerful tool is slowing down the audio. Many streaming platforms allow you to watch at 0.75 speed. This is perfect for training because the voices still sound natural. Just slower. Listen at the slower speed, catch the words, and then go back to normal speed. You'll be surprised at how much more you understand. Let's try a little shadowing practice right now. I'll read a short line like a movie character, and I want you to repeat it exactly. Ready? Don't you think it's too late? Say it just like that. Again. Don't you think it's too late? Hear the way the words connect. Don't you becomes don'tcha. That's how native speakers naturally reduce sounds in movies. Another example. What are you doing here? In a movie, you might hear it as, "What you doing here?" These small changes are why sometimes you feel like you don't understand. It's not that you don't know the words, it's that they're blended together. Here's an exercise for you to practice connected speech. I'll give you a few lines, and you'll repeat them exactly, focusing on the connected sounds. Could you help me out? Becomes, could ya help me out? Let me think about it. Becomes, let me think about it. Did you see that? Becomes, did you see that? When you start to recognize these natural reductions, movie dialogue becomes much clearer. Now let's talk about vocabulary. Movies are full of everyday words, but also idioms and slang. If you don't understand them, you might get lost in the conversation. That's why building your movie vocabulary is important. But you don't need to memorize 1,000 words at once. Focus on the ones you hear again and again. For example, in romantic comedies, you might hear break up, go out, fall for someone, ask out. In action movies, you'll hear get away, take cover, on the run, back up. Here's a practice task. Think of your favorite movie genre. Maybe it's action, romance, comedy, or mystery. Write down 5 common expressions you hear in that type of movie. Then, try to use each expression in your own sentence. If you like action movies and one of your expressions is take cover, you might say, when the rain started pouring, we had to take cover under a stop. And here's something important. Don't stop a movie every time you hear a new word. That will kill your enjoyment. Instead, make a small note and look it up later. Over time, you'll find you remember more and more without even needing to check. Another listening skill you need is learning to predict. In real life and in movies, conversations often follow certain patterns. If someone says, "I have something to tell you, but you might not like it," you can predict that the next line will be something surprising or bad news. Practicing prediction makes it easier to follow conversations even when you miss words. Let's do a prediction exercise. I'll start a line, and you try to guess what comes next. I went to the store to buy some bread, but... What do you think happened? Maybe they were out of bread, or I forgot my wallet. Now here's another one. She opened the door and saw, you could guess, her best friend, a surprise party, a stranger. This kind of guessing keeps your brain active when watching movies. Finally, I want to remind you that watching without subtitles is a gradual process. Start with short scenes. Build up to longer ones. Mix between watching with and without subtitles. And celebrate your progress. The first time you watch a whole 5-minute scene without needing to look down, that's a win. The first time you laugh at a joke in real time, that's a win. Step by step, your ears will adjust. And one day, you'll realize you've just watched an entire movie and understood it all. When you start practicing this way, you'll notice something interesting. You won't just be improving your movie listening skills. You'll also notice that your everyday listening gets easier too. You'll understand podcasts, YouTube videos, even conversations in real life more quickly. That's because your brain is learning to process real spoken English, not just the slow, clear English you might hear in lessons. One of the challenges with movies is the variety of accents. In Hollywood films alone, you'll hear American, British, Australian, and sometimes other accents all mixed together. At first, you might feel comfortable with one accent but lost with another. That's normal. The key is exposure. If you avoid an accent because it's hard, it will stay hard. But if you keep listening, little by little, your ear will adapt. Here's a simple way to train. Pick a short clip from a movie with an accent you find difficult. Play it once without subtitles just to get the general idea. Then listen again, but pause after each line and repeat it exactly. Focus not just on the words, but on the melody of the voice. For example, in a British accent, you might hear water as water instead of water. In an Australian accent, day might sound more like die. Repeating these sounds helps you get used to hearing them. Let's try a quick accent exercise. I'll say a sentence in a slightly different rhythm, and you repeat after me. It's a lovely day, isn't it? Hear the rise at the end, common in British speech. Now again. It's a lovely day, isn't it? Feel how your mouth moves differently. This kind of mimicry sharpens your listening because you begin to notice the small sound details that you once ignored. Now, let's talk about listening stamina. If you watch a movie for 10 minutes without subtitles and feel tired, that's completely normal. Your brain is working much harder than usual. Just like building muscles, you need to increase your listening time gradually. Start with short sessions, maybe 5 minutes without subtitles. Then reward yourself with 5 minutes with subtitles. Over time, your no subtitle segments will get longer and longer. Here's a fun practice routine you can follow. Choose a 90-minute movie. Watch the first 15 minutes without subtitles. Then rewatch the second. Aim 15 minutes with subtitles to check what you missed. Finally, watch again without subtitles to see how much more you understand. Doing this 3-step loop trains your brain to connect the sounds you hear with the words you read. I also recommend keeping a movie listening notebook. This isn't for writing down every new word. That would take too long. Instead, write down 3 things after every practice session. First, 1 phrase you liked. Second, 1 pronunciation pattern you noticed. Third, 1 moment you understood without subtitles that made you feel proud. This small reflection keeps your motivation high and shows you real progress. Let's imagine you watched a scene and noticed the phrase, "I'll take care of it." You might write, phrase, "I'll take care of it," meaning I will handle it. Pronunciation. The "I will" became "I'll," and "take care of it" sounded like "take care of it" with "of" almost disappearing. Proud moment. I understood the joke without needing subtitles when the character rolled their eyes and said it sarcastically. This kind of reflection makes learning personal and memorable. Another thing to remember is that in movies, actors use body language and facial expressions to communicate. Even without words, you can often understand the mood of the scene. So when you watch without subtitles, don't stare so hard at their mouths trying to catch every word. Relax. Let your eyes take in the whole picture. Notice gestures, eye contact, and movements. They are part of the meaning too. Here's a listening visual exercise for you. Pick a scene where 2 characters are talking, but there's also a lot happening visually. Maybe they're walking through a busy street or cooking together in a kitchen. First, mute the sound and watch. What do you think is happening? Then play it without subtitles. See how much your guesses were correct. This makes you awe of how much information you can get even without hearing every word. One more important tip. Avoid watching only the newest, most fast-paced movies at the beginning. Start with older movies, children's films, or TV shows with simpler dialogue. Animated movies often have clearer pronunciation because they are made for a wide audience. Shows with smaller casts and slower scenes are easier to follow than action films where everyone shouts over explosions. For example, instead of starting with a complex crime thriller, try a warm family comedy. Instead of jumping into a high-speed superhero film, try a slower drama with clear conversations. Once your ear becomes stronger, you can challenge yourself with faster and more complex dialogue. Now, let's work on something that trips up many learners: background noise in movies. In real life, people talk in quiet spaces, but in movies, there's music, street sounds, wind, crowds. At first, it feels impossible to hear the dialogue, but with practice, your brain learns to focus on the main voice and filter out the rest. Here's a background noise training exercise. Find a short clip where the dialogue happens in a noisy place, maybe a cafe or a party scene. Play it once without subtitles. Try to pick out just a few words. Then, play it again but close your eyes. Yes, even though you can't see their mouths, you will start to hear more clearly. Your brain will stop depending on lip movements and start depending on pure sound recognition. Then watch one more time with subtitles to check your understanding. Now I want you to practice speaking with the same natural speed you hear in movies. This is shadowing, but with a focus on rhythm. Choose a short sentence, listen, pause, and repeat it exactly in the same tone. For example, "We've got to get out of here" might sound like "we gotta get out of here." Notice how got to becomes gotta and out of becomes outa. Say it 3 times in a row, each time, a little faster until it feels natural. Let's do another. "I don't know what you're talking about" might become "I don't know what you're talking about." Repeat after me slowly, then a bit faster, then at full movie speed. This trains your mouth to produce the sounds your ears are hearing. And the more you can say them, the more you can recognize them in real time. Here's a tip for building confidence. Don't expect perfection. Even native speakers sometimes miss lines in movies. The difference is we keep watching, we use context, and we don't panic if we miss something. You can do the same. If you miss a sentence, don't stop. Keep following the scene. Your brain will fill in the gaps. Another exercise for you. This one is about guessing from context. I'll give you a line with a missing word, and you try to guess what fits. "I can't believe you..." That. Maybe it's did, said, wore, bought. Now imagine you hear this in a movie where a friend is holding a very strange hat. You can guess the word is probably bought. This kind of context thinking makes you a much faster listener. Over time, you'll notice something magical. When you go back to watch a movie you struggled with 6 months ago, it will feel easier. This is proof that your listening skills are growing. That's why I always tell learners, Don't measure progress day by day. Measure it month by month. And finally, for today's practice, let's do a mini movie scene role play. I'll be character A and you be character B. I'll say my line, then you answer naturally as if you were in the scene. Ready? I say, I've been waiting for you for over an hour. You respond, that's right. Maybe you said, I'm so sorry, the bus was late. Or, I know, but I had to finish something important. There's no wrong answer. What matters is that you react naturally in English, just like in a real movie conversation. The more you do this, listening, repeating, guessing, role-playing, the closer you'll get to that amazing day when you can press play on a movie and watch it all without subtitles. When you start making this part of your regular study routine, something amazing happens. Your ears become sharper. Your brain gets faster at processing English sounds, and you stop translating in your head. You begin to understand the words as pure meaning, the way you understand your own native language. That's when watching a movie without subtitles stops being stressful and starts feeling like fun. One thing I want you to remember is, movies are not made for English learners. They're made for entertainment. That means the language you hear is real, authentic, and sometimes messy. People interrupt each other. They start a sentence and never finish it. They change direction in the middle of a thought. And this is exactly why watching them is so valuable. You're training for real-life English, not just textbook English. Let's focus for a moment on chunking. This is the skill of hearing English in meaningful groups instead of one word at a time. Native speakers don't speak in single words. They speak in phrases. Instead of, I don't know what you mean, they say, I don't know what you mean. All connected. If you try to understand word by word, you'll get lost. But if you listen for chunks, you'll catch the meaning more easily. Here's a chunking exercise for you. I'll say a sentence slowly first, then naturally, and you'll repeat both versions. Slow. I don't have time right now. Natural. I don't have time right now. Slow. Do you want to grab some lunch? Natural. Do you want to grab some lunch? Now, let's apply chunking to a movie line. Imagine the sentence is, we should have told her earlier. In natural speech, it might sound like, we should have told, or earlier. That's a single smooth unit of meaning. When you hear it as one piece, it becomes much easier to follow. Another important point. Some learners think they have to understand every joke or reference in a movie for it to count. But even native speakers sometimes miss cultural jokes. And that's okay. Instead of focusing on every tiny detail, focus on staying with the story. If you understand the main plot, You are winning. Let's practice staying with the story. I'll describe part of a scene, then stop, and you tell yourself what you think might happen next. Two characters are arguing in the kitchen. One says, "You never listened to me." The other slams a plate down on the counter. What happens next? You might guess they keep arguing, or one of them walks away. Either way, your brain is engaging with the scene, and that's the skill you need for real-time understanding. Another useful exercise is line catching. In this, you pick a single sentence from a movie and try to catch it perfectly. Every word, every sound, even if it takes 10 listens. The first few times, you might catch only the start, then the middle, then finally the whole line. This builds your ear for fast speech. Let's try it now. The sentence is, "You've got to be kidding me." First time, just listen. Second time, focus on the first part. You've got to be. Third time, catch, "be kidding me." Now put it all together. You've got to be kidding me. Notice how "got to" becomes "gotta." You've gotta be kidding me. That's the natural sound in movies. You should also pay attention to intonation, the rise and fall of the voice. It tells you so much about the meaning, even if you miss words. For example, if someone says "really" with a high rising tone, they might be surprised. If they say it with a flat or falling tone, they might be annoyed or sarcastic. Practicing intonation will help you guess emotions and intentions in scenes. Here's an intonation game. Say the word "okay" 3 different ways. Happy. Okay. Disappointed. Okay. Suspicious. Okay. Movies are full of moments where tone is more important than vocabulary. Now, let's not forget about your own speaking, because the more you practice speaking like the characters, the more you'll understand them. That's why shadowing is so powerful. It connects your mouth and your ears. Here's a shadowing challenge. Pick one character in a movie scene and speak along with them for the entire scene. Try to match their timing, their stress, their pauses. At first, you'll feel behind, but with practice, you'll get closer and closer. And the side benefit is, you start picking up natural rhythm, so when you speak English yourself, it sounds smoother. Another key skill for movie listening is anticipating vocabulary. You can guess what kind of words are coming next based on the situation. For example, if the characters are in a restaurant, you might hear menu, order, bill, table, waiter, dish, special. This mental guessing game makes you more ready to catch words. Let's do a quick prediction round. I'll describe a situation, and you think of 3 words that might appear. Scene. 2 people are packing suitcases for a trip. You might guess luggage, passport, flight, tickets. Scene. A group of friends are decorating a cake. You might guess icing, candles, knife, slice. By doing this before you watch a scene, you prepare your brain to list and for relevant vocabulary. Something else that helps is watching with a purpose. Don't just press play and hope you understand. Decide what you're focusing on in that session. Maybe today your goal is to catch all the food-related words. Tomorrow it's to catch all the questions characters ask. This focus gives your brain a filter, so you're not overwhelmed by trying to hear everything at once. Here's an example practice plan. Day 1. Watch a scene and write down every question you hear. Where are you going? What happened? Can you help me? Day 2. Watch a different scene and focus only on verbs. Run, eat, decide, wait. Day 3. Focus only on phrases for agreement or disagreement. Exactly. I don't think so. You're right. No way. Over time, this builds strong, specific listening muscles. Another thing you can do to boost your understanding is to get familiar with common movie cliches. Certain lines appear in so many films that you'll start to recognize them instantly. Lines like, "We need to talk," "You're not gonna believe this," "Let's get out of here," "Trust me." The more you hear these, the less you have to work to understand them. Let's practice some common ones now. Repeat after me, just like in a dramatic movie scene. We need to talk. You're not gonna believe this. Let's get out of here. Trust me. The more you practice them, the faster you'll catch them during real watching. And don't forget, understanding movies isn't just about listening. It's about building your confidence to stay in English without switching back to your native language. That's why I recommend watching an entire movie in English from start to finish, even if you only understand 50% at first. It forces your brain to stay in English mode for a long period of time. Here's a confidence exercise. Choose a movie you've already watched in your native language. Now watch it in English, no subtitles. You already know the plot, so you can relax and focus on the language. You'll be surprised at how much more you understand when you're not worried about the story. And finally, let's do one more active listening practice before we end this section. I'll play the role of a character giving you news, and you'll respond naturally. Ready? I say, "Guess what? We got the job." You respond with something happy, or I say, "I think we're lost." You respond with something worried. This role play is simple, but it forces you to think and answer in English instantly. And that's exactly the skill you need to keep up with movie conversations. When you practice like this, with focus, repetition, and variety, you'll notice that movie English starts to feel familiar. The fast parts won't scare you anymore. You'll stop relying on subtitles, and you'll finally be able to watch the way you always dreamed. One of the things I hear most often from learners is, "Mia, I try watching movies without subtitles, but I give up after a few minutes because I feel lost. And I always tell them, it's okay to feel lost at first. It's like walking into a crowded party where everyone's speaking a language you barely know. In the beginning, the noise feels overwhelming, but if you stay in the room, if you keep listening, little by little, certain voices start to make sense. Certain words start to pop out. The truth is, understanding movies without subtitles is less about sudden big breakthroughs and more about hundreds of tiny victories. You hear a sentence and understand it without thinking. You catch a joke in real time. You notice how a character's tone changes when they get upset. Each of these is a small win. And small wins add up to real fluency. Something that ally helps in this process is active listening. This means you're not just sitting back and letting the movie wash over you. You're listening with intention, pausing to repeat lines, rewinding to hear tricky phrases, even speaking them yourself. Let's do an active listening drill together. I'm going to say a line quickly, like in a movie. I didn't see you come in. Now you repeat it exactly. Good. Now again, but faster. Notice how did not becomes didn't, and how the sounds connect between see you. It almost sounds like see ya. This is exactly the kind of reduction you'll hear in natural speech. Here's another. We should have left earlier. In movies, you'll often hear it as we should have left earlier. That should have blends into shoulda. Try it now. Slowly first, then faster. When you can say it smoothly, you'll start to hear it clearly. Now, one of the biggest barriers to understanding is when the characters are speaking emotionally. Maybe they're angry, crying, or laughing while talking. Their pronunciation changes. Their speed changes. They might even interrupt themselves. This is challenging for learners, but it's also very real, because people in real life do the same thing. Here's a practice exercise. Imagine you're acting in a scene. I'll give you a line, and I want you to say it in 3 different emotional tones. First line, I can't believe you said that. Say it as if you're angry. Now say it as if you're laughing. Now as if you're shocked. You'll notice that each version sounds a little different. That's exactly why movies can be hard to follow. The tone changes the way the words sound. Another listening skill to develop is recognizing filler words. In movies, characters often use words like, you know, I mean, like, or well before or between sentences. They don't add meaning, but they're part of natural speech. If you can recognize and mentally skip over these fillers, you'll catch the main meaning more easily. Let's try this. I'll say a sentence with filler words, and you repeat it while ignoring the filler in your mind. Well, you know, I was thinking we could go out later. The main sentence is, I was thinking we could go out later. See how skipping, well, you know, makes it easier to understand? Another tip. When you're watching movies to improve your English, don't be afraid to pause and speak aloud. Some learners feel shy about this, but it's one of the fastest ways to improve both listening and speaking. If you hear a great line, pause, repeat it exactly, and even try changing it. For example, if you hear, "I'll meet you outside," try saying, "I'll meet you inside," or "I'll meet you tomorrow," or "I'll meet you at the station." This not only helps you copy the pronunciation, but also gives you flexibility in your speaking. Let's practice right now. I'll give you a line and you'll make 3 new sentences by changing 1 or 2 words. The line is, "Can you give me a hand?" Maybe you say, "Can you give me a ride?" Or, "Can you give me a minute?" Or, "Can you give me some advice?" This shows you how one structure can open many possibilities. Now, let's talk about another big challenge: background music. In many movies, the music is just as loud as the voices. Sometimes it's soft and emotional, sometimes it's dramatic and booming. For learners, this can make it harder to hear the dialogue. But here's the trick. Music often helps you understand the emotion of the scene, even if you miss words. Try this. Play a short movie scene without sound. Just watch the characters and the music. Can you tell if it's a happy, sad, or suspenseful moment? Now add the sound back in. Notice how the music supports the words. You can use this to your advantage. If the music is tense, you know the scene is serious. If it's light and playful, the conversation might be casual. And then there's slang. Movies are full of it. Slang can be confusing because it's not usually taught in classrooms, but it's essential for understanding casual conversations. For example, in American movies, you might hear "chill out," "relax," "hit the road," "leave," or "no big deal," "it's not important." Here's a quick slang shadowing game. I'll give you a slang phrase and its meaning. You repeat the phrase as if you were in a movie scene. Ready? Take it easy, meaning relax. Say it now. Hang in there, meaning don't give up. Now, piece of cake, meaning very easy. The more you say them, the faster you'll recognize them in real dialogue. Something else I want you to try is delayed subtitles training. This is where you first watch a scene without subtitles, then watch it with subtitles, and finally watch again without them. This method trains you to guess meaning from sound, then confirm, then reinforce the sound memory connection. Here's an example routine. Choose a 3-minute scene from a movie. Step 1. Watch without subtitles. Step 2. Watch with subtitles to check. Step 3. Watch again without. Step 4. Try shadowing a few lines you like. This takes maybe 10 minutes, but it's incredibly effective if you do it every day. Now I want to give you a listening challenge. I'll say a fast sentence, and you try to repeat it exactly. We've been looking for you everywhere. Ready? Again. We've been looking for you everywhere. Hear how looking for you becomes lookin' for ya. These small changes make a big difference in how you hear English. Here's another one. What are you doing after work? In natural speech, it becomes, what you doing after work? Try it now. Slowly first, then faster. This is how you start catching the real spoken version of English. Remember, the goal isn't to understand every single sentence perfectly right now. The goal is to train your ear so that over time, more and more becomes clear. It's a long game, but every practice session moves you forward. Let's finish this section with a little role play. Imagine we're in a movie scene where we're planning a surprise party. I say, we need to make sure she doesn't find out. You respond, that's right. Maybe you said, don't worry, I'll keep it a secret. Or, I'll distract her while you decorate. This is real conversational practice, and it works even when you're practicing alone. If you build these habits, pausing, repeating, shadowing, predicting, focusing on emotion and rhythm, you'll find that movie English starts to feel like your English, and the next time you watch without subtitles, you'll understand more, enjoy more, and maybe even forget that you ever needed subtitles at all. When you reach the stage where you can watch longer parts of a movie without subtitles, something shifts in your confidence. You start to trust your ears more. You stop worrying about every word and start enjoying the story. And that's when your learning speeds up without you even noticing. Because you're not just studying anymore, you're living the language through the movie. One of the best things you can do is create a mini library of your movie listening scenes. These are your go-to clips that you watch again and again for practice. Maybe a funny cafe scene from a romantic comedy, a tense conversation from a drama, or a friendly chat between characters in a family film. The key is to choose scenes that you enjoy so much that repeating them doesn't feel like work. Let's set up a practice together. Imagine you've chosen a 2-minute cafe scene. Step 1. Watch without subtitles, just noticing the mood and setting. Step 2. Play again, this time writing down 3 key words you hear. Maybe coffee, late, meeting. Step 3. Watch with subtitles to see if you got them right. Step 4. Shadow 1 or 2 lines from each character. Step 5. Watch again without subtitles and phones. 'Cause on understanding more than before. This whole process might take 15 minutes, but it's like a workout for your listening skills. Here's a shadowing example. In your cafe scene, one character says, "Sorry I'm late, the bus took forever." In natural movie speech, That might sound like, "Sorry I'm late, the bus took forever." The I'm and late connect so smoothly you almost miss the I. By repeating exactly what you hear, you train yourself to notice these little connections automatically. Now, let's talk about pacing. Some movie characters speak slowly and clearly, while others talk fast and overlap. Both are valuable for practice. Slow, clear speech helps you get the structure of English in your ear. Fast, overlapping speech trains you for real-life conversations where people don't wait for each other to finish. Here's a listening speed drill. I'll say a sentence slowly, you repeat. Then I'll say it faster, and you try to keep up. Slow. Do you want to go for a walk later? Fast. Do you want to go for a walk later? Slow. I didn't think you'd be here this early. Fast. I didn't think you'd be here this early. Notice in the fast version, the words stick together. Another area that trips up learners is whispering. In movies, characters sometimes lower their voice during emotional or secret moments. The volume drops, but the rhythm stays the same. To train for this, try turning your volume down on purpose and listening closely to see what you can still catch. This will sharpen your focus on rhythm and intonation instead of just volume. Let's try. Whisper version. Don't tell anyone I said this. Whisper version. Meet me by the old bridge at midnight. When you practice listening to whispers, you'll find normal volume speech even easier to understand. I also want to encourage you to use pause and predict. This is when you pause a movie right before a character speaks and try to guess what they will say. This forces your brain to stay engaged and think like an English speaker. Here's a quick example. You see two characters holding menus in a restaurant. One opens their mouth to speak. You pause. Maybe you guess they'll say, "What are you getting?" Or, "I think I'll have the pasta." Then you play and see if you were close. This isn't just a game. It trains your brain to expect certain phrases, making it easier to catch them when they happen. Now let's deal with one of the most frustrating things for learners. Scenes with a lot of characters talking at once. In these moments, don't try to understand everyone. Choose one character to focus on. Follow their voice, their lines, and ignore the rest. Then, if you want, watch again focusing on a different character. This way, you get clarity instead of chaos. For practice, imagine a dinner scene where 4 people are talking. Choose one and repeat their line, "Pass me the salt, please." Then watch again and follow someone else. Did you hear about what happened yesterday? This trains your ear to lock onto a single voice even when there's noise all around. Speaking of noise, let's do another connected speech drill. I'll give you a sentence the way you'd see it written, and then the way it might sound in a movie. You repeat both. Written. I am going to see him tomorrow. Spoken. I'm gonna see him tomorrow. Written. What do you want to do tonight? Spoken. What do you want to do tonight? Written. I will call you in the morning. Spoken. I'll call you in the morning. When you know how these sound changes work, you stop being surprised by them, and you start catching them naturally. Another great way to improve is to rewatch the same movie after some time has passed. The first time, you might only get half of it. The second time, maybe you understand 70%, and you'll be amazed at how much your brain remembers from before. It's like giving your ears a second chance. But this time, they're stronger. Let's turn this into a confidence exercise. Think of a movie you watched in English last year but didn't understand well. Watch it again now without subtitles. Write down how much more you understand. It's a powerful reminder that your listening skills are growing even if you don't notice it day by day. And don't forget to use movies as a speaking springboard. After watching a scene, pause and explain it in your own words in English. You don't have to be perfect, just describe what happened. For example, they were talking about the party and she invited him to come. Or, he was upset because his car broke down on the way to work. This habit turns passive watching into active speaking practice. Let's try. Imagine a scene where a man walks into his house, drops his keys, and says, "What a day." Then his friend asks, "What happened?" You could summarize, he came home tired and told his friend it was a long day. Simple, clear, and exactly the kind of skill that helps you both in movies and in real conversations. Finally, let's wrap up this section with a movie dialogue role play. I'll be character A, you be character B. Ready? I didn't think you'd make it. B. Your turn. Well, I'm glad you're here now. B. Your turn. Role-playing like this, even on your own, trains your listening, speaking, and quick response. Exactly what you need for real fluency and movie understanding. When you make these small, daily movie practices a habit, your listening will get sharper. Your speech will sound more natural, and subtitles will become something you choose for fun, not something you depend on. Step by step, you'll reach the point where English movies are just movies. Something you watch, enjoy, and understand. By now, you've probably noticed that every time you practice with movies, you're not just learning new words, you're also training your brain to think in English. That's because movies immerse you in the language. You hear it, you see it, you feel it in the emotions of the characters. And when you step into that world again and again, your brain starts building automatic connections between sounds and meaning. One of the most effective ways to speed this up is to use echo repetition. This means you repeat a line immediately after hearing it, without pausing the video. It's fast. And yes, You'll probably be a little behind at first. But this forces your brain to work in real time. Let's try it now. I'll say a movie-style line, and you echo it right after me. You're not serious, are you? Again. You're not serious, are you? Notice how your voice follows the rhythm of mine. That's exactly how echo repetition builds your ear for natural speech patterns. Another thing that helps is focusing on function words. The little words like to, at, of, the, a, that often get reduced or blended in fast speech. In movies, these are rarely pronounced fully, but they're essential for understanding the structure of a sentence. For example, I'm going to the store might sound like I'm going to the store, or even I'm going to the store. By practicing these reductions, you may make them easier to hear. Let's practice. I'll give you the written version and the spoken version, and you repeat both. Written. She's at the office right now. Spoken. She's at the office right now. Written. We'll meet at the park at 3. Spoken. We'll meet at the park at 3. Written. I was thinking of calling you. Spoken. I was thinking of calling you. Once your ear learns to expect these sound changes, you stop missing them. Now, let's talk about listening layers. In movies, there are always multiple layers of sound. The main dialogue, the background noises, the music, and sometimes even overlapping voices. At first, your brain might not know what to focus on, but with practice, you can choose to focus on one layer at a time. Here's how. The first time you watch a scene, focus only on the dialogue. The second time, notice the background sounds. The third time, listen for the music. When you train your ear to separate these layers, you'll have a much easier time catching dialogue even when the scene is noisy. Let's do a quick example. Imagine a scene in a busy airport. You hear, "Flight 27 to Boston is now boarding." That's the main voice over the speaker. But in the background, you also hear suitcase wheels rolling, people chatting, announcements in other languages. The music might be light and fast-paced. If you try to listen to everything at once, you'll get overwhelmed. But if you focus first on just the voice announcing the flight, you'll get the important information. Another useful technique is reverse shadowing. Instead of watching the scene first, you listen to the audio only. No video. This forces you to catch meaning from sound alone, without lip reading or visual clues. Then, you watch the scene with the video and see how much more you understand. Let's try a small reverse shadowing moment. Close your eyes and hear me say, "Meet me at the old bridge after sunset." Without seeing me, can you catch every word? Now open your eyes and imagine the scene. 2 friends standing in the shadows, speaking quietly. The visual context makes the words feel even clearer. And here's something many learners don't realize. You don't always need to understand why a certain pronunciation is used in a movie. Sometimes you just need to accept it as how native speakers say it and copy it. Over time, your brain naturally figures out the patterns. For example, in movies you might hear gonna instead of going to hundreds of times. You don't need to stop every time and think about grammar. Just accept that gonna is what you'll hear and get used to saying it yourself. Let's practice a few. Repeat after me. I'm gonna call you tomorrow. We're gonna be late if we don't leave now. He's gonna love this place. Once you can say them naturally, hearing them becomes effortless. Now, let's spend a moment on emotional timing. In movies, actors often pause for effect, speed up during excitement, or slow down during sadness. These changes in speed give you clues about meaning. Here's an exercise. I'll give you the same sentence in 3 different timings, and you guess the emotion. Version 1. I can't believe you did that. Maybe shock or disappointment. Version 2. I can't believe you did that. Excitement. Version 3. I can't believe you did that. Sadness or hurt. When you can hear emotion in the timing, you can often follow the story even if you miss a few words. Another practical tip. Don't be afraid to live in one movie for a while. You don't need to watch something new every day. In fact, rewatching the same movie several times, with and without subtitles, focusing on different skills each time, can be far more effective than watching many movies just once. Here's a suggested rewatch plan for a single movie. Day 1. Watch with subtitles for enjoyment and overall understanding. Day 2. Watch without subtitles, focusing on the main story. Day 3. Watch again without subtitles, but pause and repeat lines you like. Day 4. Focus on a specific skill, maybe connected speech or intonation. Day 5. Watch again without subtitles, noticing how much you've improved. This kind of deep practice makes the language stick in your long-term memory. Now let's do a connected speech warm-up. Repeat after me. I've been meaning to talk to you. Sounds like I've been meanin' to talk to ya. Did you ever go to that place we talked about? Sounds like did ya ever go to that place we talked about? She'll have to let us know by tomorrow. Sounds like she'll have to let us know by tomorrow. The more you speak in this natural flow, the more your ears will be tuned to hear it instantly in movies. Here's another challenge for you. Try silent shadowing, moving your mouth along with the character's lines without actually speaking out loud. This builds muscle memory for mouth movements without worrying about making noise. Then, when you speak out loud, it feels more natural. Let's try one now. Imagine the character says, "It's not what you think." You silently copy their lip and mouth movements, then say it out loud. "It's not what you think." See how your mouth automatically shapes the sounds? That's the muscle memory you want. Finally, I want to end this section with a role play that pushes you to react quickly. I'll give you a movie-style situation, and you respond instantly in English without overthinking. Situation 1. A friend says, "We missed the last train." You respond. Situation 2. Someone asks, "Have you told her yet?" You respond. Situation 3. A stranger says, "Excuse me, is this seat to Ken?" You respond. This quick response habit is exactly what makes you feel more confident, both in movies and in real-life English conversations. If you keep practicing these ways, echo repetition, connected speech, emotional timing, rewatching, and quick reaction role plays, you'll find yourself reaching for subtitles less and less, until one day you won't need them at all. One thing I want you to remember as we keep going is, the goal here isn't just to understand movies without subtitles. It's to make your brain so comfortable with natural spoken English that it stops feeling like a foreign language. That way, when you watch a film, listen to a podcast, or have a real conversation, you'll be able to follow along without fear or hesitation. That's why I always tell learners, don't separate listening practice from life practice. Instead, try to make movies part of your daily English world. Maybe you watch a short scene while having breakfast, or listen to the audio of a movie while you're cooking. Even just 10 minutes a day keeps your brain in contact with real English. Now, let's talk about a tricky skill. Catching throwaway lines in movies. These are short, casual comments characters make that aren't part of the main plot. They might be in the background or said quickly, but native speakers catch them easily. Often, these lines are where humor or extra details hide. Here's a little challenge for you. Imagine a scene where two friends are walking down the street talking about a big event. In the background, one says quietly, "I still can't believe we made it on time." This might not be important to the plot, but it adds color to the story. Your job is to train your ear to notice these little moments. One way to do this is to watch a scene, then write down every single thing you hear, not just the main dialogue. Then watch again with subtitles and see what you missed. Even if you only catch one more line the second time, that's progress. Now, let's work on linking speech again, because it's one of the biggest reasons you miss words in movies. Native speakers connect words so tightly that whole syllables disappear. For example, "I want to ask you something" might sound like, "I want to ask you something." "Do you have any plans tonight?" might sound like, "Do you have any plans tonight?" Let's practice. Repeat after me slowly, then at natural speed. I want to ask you something. Again. Now faster. Do you have any plans tonight? Again. Faster. When you can say them quickly, your ears will catch them much more easily during a movie. Another common issue is characters overlapping each other's speech. In real life, people interrupt and talk over each other. Movies use this to make scenes feel natural. But for learners, it can be frustrating because you lose part of a sentence. Here's the secret. You don't need to understand both voices perfectly. Focus on one speaker at a time. Let's practice. I'll give you 2 overlapping lines, and you focus only on the first. First voice. I told you we should have left earlier. Second voice. But I didn't even know the time. Now try focusing only on the second voice. You'll see how your brain can choose what to listen to. Now, let's work on quick reaction speaking, because the more you can respond instantly in English, the more naturally you'll follow movie conversations. I'll set up a scene. You give your answer immediately. Scene. A friend in a movie says, "Do you want to come with us?" You answer. Scene. A character asks, "Why didn't you tell me?" You answer. Scene. Someone says, "It's going to rain later." You answer. This type of practice not only improves speaking, it also trains your listening because you have to understand quickly before answering. Here's another valuable skill. Noticing intonation patterns in questions. In English movies, not all questions sound the same. Yes, no questions often have a rising tone. Are you ready? But open questions with who, what, where, when, why, how often have a falling tone. Where are you going? Recognizing the tone can help you predict what's being asked even if you miss a word. Let's try. I'll say 2 questions and you tell me if it's a yes, no, or an open question. Did you finish it? Yes, no. When does it start? Open. This kind of awareness means that even in a noisy movie scene, you can follow the type of conversation happening. Now, I want you to think about repeated movie lines. These are phrases that appear again and again across films and shows. If you can master these, you'll instantly understand a huge percentage of casual dialogue. Phrases like, "Come on," "Let's go," "What's going on?" "Are you kidding me?" Let's practice shadowing them exactly as they sound in real conversation. Come on often sounds like, "Come on." Let's go sounds like, "Let's go." What's going on sounds like, "Was going on." Are you kidding me? Often, "You kidding me?" By drilling these, you save your brain energy for the less common lines. Another tip. If you're watching with subtitles for study, don't read every single line. Just glance at them when you get stuck. If you rely on reading for every line, your listening doesn't get stronger. But if you only check when necessary, you push your ears to work harder. Let's try a mini practice for that. I'll say a sentence. You pretend you're listening without subtitles. If you don't catch it, I'll repeat it slowly. We'll be there in about 10 minutes. If you missed it the first time, this is exactly how to train during real watching. Also, don't underestimate the power of silent scenes in movies. Even without words, you can often follow the story through expressions, gestures, and actions. Paying attention to these moments will help you guess what characters might say next. Here's a prediction game. Imagine two characters are standing in the rain. One looks away sadly. What might they say? Maybe, "I can't do this anymore." Or, "I'm sorry." Now imagine they're both smiling under umbrellas. Maybe, "I'm glad we came." Or, "This is perfect." The more you practice predicting, the more you can fill in meaning even if your ears miss a few words. Let's do another connected speech drill before we end this section. "I would have called you earlier" becomes "I would have called you earlier." "He should have told us" becomes "He should have told us." "They could have been here by now" becomes "They could have been here by now." These reductions happen constantly in movies. Once you know them, your listening speed will skyrocket. Finally, let's close this part with a role play that mixes listening and speaking. I'll be character A, you'll be character B. A, "I think we're lost." B, your turn. A, "Don't worry, I know a shortcut." B, your turn. Practicing like this every day means that one day you'll be able to watch an entire movie without subtitles, and you won't even realize you've done it, because you'll just be enjoying the story, laughing at the jokes, and feeling the emotions in real time. The more you practice, the more you'll notice that understanding movies without subtitles isn't just about hearing the words, it's about recognizing patterns. Common sentence shapes, repeated vocabulary, predictable rhythms. Your brain starts to store these as ready-made templates. So when you hear something similar in a movie, your mind fills in the gaps before the scene, and tense even finishes. This is exactly what native speakers do. We don't listen to every single sound separately. We hear the beginning, predict the rest, and confirm as we go. And you can train yourself to do the same. Let's try a quick pattern game. I'll start a sentence and you guess how it might end. "I can't wait to," maybe "see you," "go there," "start the movie." "If I were you," maybe "I'd take the job," "I wouldn't worry," "I'd call her." Training this way helps your brain get ready for what's coming in real time. Another skill that helps is recognizing key stress words in a sentence. In English, not every word is stressed equally. The important words are louder, longer, and clearer. For example, in I'm going to the store to buy some apples. The stress is on store and apples. Even if you miss the smaller words, you still know the meaning. Let's do a stress focus drill. I'll say a sentence. You repeat it while making the stressed words stronger. We're leaving tomorrow morning. Stress, leaving, and tomorrow morning. She's never been to Paris before. Stress, never, and Paris. When you start listening for stress words in movies, you'll catch meaning faster, even in fast dialogue. Now, let's talk about intonation clues. Sometimes in movies, the way a line is said tells you more than the words themselves. A rising tone can suggest uncertainty, surprise, or a question. A falling tone can suggest certainty or finality. Let's practice. Say really with a rising tone. It sounds curious or surprised. Now say really with a falling tone. It sounds like you don't believe it or you're confirming. These tiny changes are huge in movie listening. One area learners often struggle with is movie humor. Jokes can be hard because they rely on timing, culture, or wordplay. You don't have to get every joke, but you can still train for the rhythm of humor. Usually there's a setup and a punchline, and the punchline is delivered with a small pause before it. If you notice that pause, you know something funny is coming. Here's a fun drill. I'll set up a fake movie joke, and you listen for the pause. I told him I'd help him move his furniture. Pause. I didn't mean today. That pause is your clue that the next part changes the meaning. Now, let's move to reaction lines. In movies, many lines are short responses. No way. Exactly. I know. That's right. These are easy wins for understanding because they're short and repeated across many films. If you get good at catching them instantly, your listening speed jumps. Repeat after me with natural tone. No way. Exactly. I know. That's right. In fast speech, they become no way. Exactly. I know. That's right. The more you shadow these, the faster you'll hear them during real watching. Something else that will help you. Focus on word boundaries. In movies, words blend together, and sometimes it sounds like one long word. For example, did you eat yet becomes jeet yet, or I don't know becomes dunno. Let's do a blending drill. Repeat slowly, then naturally. Jeet yet? Dunno. Gimme a minute. Lemme think. These reductions happen constantly. Once you expect them, they're easy to catch. Here's another powerful method. Watch and describe. After a short movie scene, pause and describe what happened in your own words. Don't translate. Just explain in English as if you were telling a friend. This strengthens your active vocabulary and ensures you're not just hearing English, you're processing it. Let's try. Imagine a movie scene where two friends meet at a park, one gives the other a gift, and they both smile. You might say, "She gave him a present and he was really happy." Short, clear, and natural. The more you do this, the faster your speaking and listening will work together. Another listening skill for movies is recognizing recurring themes. In many films, characters repeat certain words or phrases related to the story. Maybe a location, an object, or a person's name. These repeated words are important. If you notice them, you can understand the main plot without needing every detail. Here's a tip. When you hear a name or a place more than twice, make a mental note. It's probably central to the story. If you hear Sarah 3 times in 10 minutes, you know she's important, even if you don't see her yet. Now, let's work on chunk recall. This is remembering a group of words exactly as they were said. In movies, a lot of meaning is in these chunks. For example, "We need to talk about this" is a single chunk. I'll give you a chunk. You repeat it exactly. "We need to talk about this." "I'm not sure I can do that." That's the last thing I expected. By practicing recall, you're training your memory to hold on to spoken language long enough to process it. Another tip: get comfortable with half understanding. This means being okay with not getting every word but still following the story. Many learners get stuck because they stop the movie every time they don't understand. But in real life, we often keep going and fill in the meaning later. Let's practice. I'll say a sentence with one word you don't know. "She grabbed her florin and ran outside." You don't know what florin is, but from the rest, you know she took something and left quickly. That's how you keep following a movie without getting stuck. And finally, for this part, let's role-play another quick scene. I'll be character A, you'll be character B. "We're going to miss the show if we don't leave now." B, your turn. A, "Then let's go. No more excuses." B, your turn. This kind of instant back and forth is exactly the skill that makes you faster at catching movie dialogue. If you keep combining these exercises, pattern prediction, stress listening, intonation clues, reaction line shadowing, blending drills, watch and describe practice, and role play, your listening will get sharper every single day. And one day, you'll realize that you've been watching a movie without subtitles for the LA. One way to make these wins visible is to keep a movie listening journal. After each session, write down one thing you understood that you wouldn't have caught a month ago. It could be a whole scene, or just a single fast phrase. Maybe you finally understood "you gotta be kidding me" at full speed, or you caught the name of a place you always missed before. These notes remind you how far you've come. Let's do a quick mental check together. Think of a movie you watched last year that felt hard. Now imagine watching it again today. What parts would be easier for you now? Which phrases would you catch? You might be surprised by how much your ear has grown without you realizing it. Another important skill for movies is anticipating situations. If you can guess what's about to happen, you can predict the language that will be used. For example, if a character is holding a phone and looks upset, you might expect lines like, "What happened?" or "Is everything okay?" This makes you ready to catch them when they come. Let's practice. I'll give you a quick scene description, and you guess what lines might follow. Scene 1. Two characters are running through the rain, laughing. Maybe they say, "We're soaked," or "I can't believe we're doing this." Scene 2. A man sits alone at a table staring at his watch. Maybe he says, "She's late again," or "I'm not waiting any longer." This guessing habit keeps your mind active during real watching. Now, let's focus on fast confirmations. In movies, sometimes you hear a line that you almost catch, but not quite. Instead of stopping the movie to replay it immediately, you keep going and confirm meaning through the next lines or actions. This is a key real-life skill, because conversations don't stop for you to replay. Here's a small example. A character mumbles something and another replies, "Yeah, I agree." Even if you missed the first C tense, now you know it must have been something positive or agreeable. Your brain fills in the gap from context. Let's do a quick context fill exercise. I'll give you a reply, and you guess what the first speaker might have said. Reply: "No, I don't think that's true." Maybe the first speaker said, "He's always late," or "She doesn't like him." Reply: "That's a great idea." Maybe the first speaker said, "Let's take a trip," or "We should try that new cafe." Another technique that works wonders is listening to audio-only movie tracks. You can rip the audio from a movie or find it online, then listen while walking, cooking, or relaxing. Without visuals, your brain works harder to process the words. Then, when you watch the scene later, it feels much easier. Let's do a small audio simulation. Close your eyes and just listen. We've been planning this for weeks and you forgot? Can you picture the scene without seeing it? Maybe someone's standing in a kitchen frustrated. Now open your eyes and imagine watching the actual scene. You'd catch the line even faster. It's also important to train with different movie genres. Action movies teach you to catch short, urgent commands. Romantic comedies help with everyday conversation. Dramas give you emotional, slower dialogue. Mixing genres makes you flexible and ready for any kind of listening. Here's a genre speed drill. I'll give you one sentence from each style, and you repeat it like you're in the scene. Action. Get down. Romantic comedy. I didn't know you felt that way. Drama. You don't understand what this means to me. Another skill is micro-shadowing. Instead of shadowing whole sentences, you pick just 2 or 3 words from a fast line and copy them exactly. This keeps you from getting overwhelmed. For example, if the line is, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Maybe you only shadow thinking about, or a lot lately. Then you add more as you improve. Let's practice. Line. We should have called them earlier. Shadow just called them. Line. I don't know if this is a good idea. Shadow just good idea. This kind of micro practice builds up to full sentence shadowing over time. And here's something that many learners don't use enough: mimicking emotion as well as words. When you repeat a line, match the feeling, not just the sounds. If the character is excited, sound excited. If they're whispering, whisper. This deepens your listening connection and helps you catch the emotional cues that are so important in movies. Let's try. Happy tone. That's amazing. Serious tone. We need to talk. Surprised tone. You're kidding. Notice how the emotion changes the delivery. That's exactly what happens in films. Now let's work on compressions. Times when multiple words are squeezed into one quick sound. For example, what do you mean often becomes, what do you mean? How did you do that becomes, how'd you do that? Drill time. Repeat after me naturally. What do you mean? How'd you do that? Where'd he go? The more you practice these, the easier they are to catch in fast dialogue. Another tip. Use the pause and predict technique not just for guessing words, but for guessing tone. Pause before a character speaks and decide. Will they sound angry, calm, excited? Then play and see if you were right. This teaches your brain to expect emotional delivery along with words. Let's try. Scene. A man just found out he lost his job. Predict tone. Sad or frustrated. Scene. A woman opens the door to find her long-lost friend. Predict tone. Shocked or happy. Finally, for this part, let's role play again. But this time, we'll mix tones and speed. I'll be character A. You'll be character B. A. Fast, urgent. We have to get out of here right now. B. Your quick response. A. Slow, emotional. I never thought it would end like this. B. Your slower, matching response. By practicing speed changes and emotional shifts, you're training for exactly what movies demand. If you keep up with these techniques, journaling your wins, anticipating situations, confirming through context, audio-only listening, mixing genres, micro-shadowing, emotion matching, and compression drills, you'll find that movies become less like a challenge and more like a doorway into the world of fluent, natural English. As you reach this stage in your movie listening journey, something changes in how you approach the language. You stop treating it like a school exercise and start living in it. Movies become less about studying English and more about experiencing stories in English. And that's a powerful shift, because it means you're no longer translating in your head. You're just understanding. One thing that really accelerates this shift is visualizing the scene in your mind. Even when you're not watching, you can replay lines from movies you've practiced. You can imagine the characters, their expressions, the background. This mental replay strengthens your memory and makes those phrases easier to recall when you hear them again. Let's do a quick visualization exercise. Close your eyes and imagine a busy train station from a movie. You see people rushing, you hear footsteps, the sound of announcements, and then a character says, "We're going to miss it if we don't hurry." You can hear their voice, can't you? That's exactly the kind of mental practice that turns listening into second nature. Another skill to master is recognizing scene types. Certain types of scenes have predictable vocabulary and tone. A negotiation scene will have words like deal, agreement, terms, offer. A cooking scene will have chop, stir, boil, taste. If you can identify the type of scene quickly, your brain can focus on the likely words before they even appear. Let's try it. I'll give you the type of scene. You guess the kind of words you might hear. Scene 1. A hospital emergency. Maybe nurse, patient, surgery, hurry. Scene 2. Friends planning a road trip. Maybe map, route, drive, stop for food. This pre-activation makes your listening sharper. Now, let's focus on handling speed bursts. In movies, characters often speak at a normal pace and then suddenly speed up, usually during excitement, panic, or when telling a story. If you're ready for this change, you can catch more of what's being said. Here's a drill. I'll say a sentence slowly, then faster, and you repeat both. Slow. I've been meaning to tell you about what happened last night. Fast. I've been meaning to tell you about what happened last night. Slow. We should have left earlier, but we didn't know the time. Fast. We should have left earlier, but we didn't know the time. The more you practice switching speeds, the easier it becomes to keep up with movie dialogue. Another key point. Pauses are as important as words. In movies, a pause can mean hesitation, surprise, tension, or emphasis. Learning to notice these moments can help you predict what comes next. Let's practice pause awareness. I'll give you a sentence with a pause. You tell me what feeling it gives. I didn't expect you to be here. Maybe surprise or shock. If you think that I'm going to agree to this, maybe anger or resistance. Recognizing these pauses is like reading the punctuation of spoken English. One of the most effective tools for improving without subtitles is layered rewatching. This means watching the same scene several times, but focusing on a different aspect each time. First viewing, main story. Second viewing, new words or phrases. Third viewing, connected speech and reductions. Fourth viewing, intonation and emotion. It might sound repetitive, but each time you're listening with a different goal. And that makes your understanding deeper. Let's do a quick version right now. Sentence. You've got to trust me on this. First, just get the meaning. Second, notice got to becomes gotta. Third, hear the stress on trust me. Fourth, feel the urgency in the tone. That's how you train layer by layer. Now, I want to work on split attention listening. Sometimes in movies, there's action happening while people are talking, maybe walking, driving, or moving objects. In real life, the same thing happens, and you still need to follow the conversation. The trick is to keep your ears on the main voice while letting the background be soft focus. For example, imagine a movie scene where two people are loading boxes into a car while talking about their weekend. You might hear, "So, are you coming to the party?" while they slam a trunk shut. Practice keeping your attention on the question and not losing it to the sound effects. Another important area is rhythm matching. In English, the rhythm is often more important for understanding than exact sounds. That's why you can sometimes guess a sentence even if you don't hear every syllable. The rhythm matches something familiar. Let's try. I'll tap the rhythm and you say the line with me. Where are you going this weekend? Now, I'll call you when I get there. When you can feel the beat of a sentence, it becomes easier to follow at full movie speed. One thing many learners forget is to speak along without fear of mistakes. Even if you get a word wrong while shadowing, you're still training your mouth and ears to work together. The goal is flow, not perfection. Let's shadow together now. We can't let them find out. Again. We can't let 'em find out. See how them becomes M? That's a natural shift in movies. And here's another tip. Occasionally, watch a scene in English, then immediately explain it in English to yourself as if you were telling someone who hasn't seen it. This not only tests your understanding, but forces your brain to recall the language it just heard. For example, imagine you watched a scene where a man lost his wallet on the bus and someone called him to return it. You might say, he thought he lost his wallet, but a stranger called him to give it back. That's the kind of summarizing that strengthens both listening and speaking. Finally, for this part, let's do a mixed speed role play. I'll be character A, you'll be character B. Normal speed. Hey, do you have a second? B. Your answer. Fast, excited. You won't believe what just happened. B. Your quick response. Mixing speeds like this is exactly what you hear in movies, and the more you practice it, the less it surprises you when it happens on screen. If you keep combining visualization, scene-type prediction, speed burst handling, pause awareness, layered rewatching, split attention listening, rhythm matching, and fearless shadowing, you'll find yourself staying with the movie from start to finish without subtitles and enjoying every second of it. By this point in your training, you've probably realized that understanding movies without subtitles isn't about learning a list of movie vocabulary. It's about training your ears and brain to work together at full speed. And the more you expose yourself to this kind of real English, the more it starts to feel natural. One thing I want you to do more often is movie scene looping. This means you pick a short scene you enjoy and repeat it over several days. On day 1, just watch and enjoy. Day 2, focus on catching more details. Day 3, try shadowing. Day 4, retell the scene in your own words. This repeated exposure works far better than just watching something once and moving on. Let's try a micro version right now. I'll give you a 2-line scene. First, just listen. Character: You're late. Character B: Yeah, I know, traffic was terrible. Now again. This time, focus on connected speech. Why, our late stays clear, but yeah, I know blends into yeah and I know, and traffic was terrible flows together naturally. One more time. Now you shadow each line exactly. Another powerful skill is anticipating answers. In many movie conversations, the second speaker's reply is predictable. For example, if one character says, "Thanks for coming," the other might say, "No problem," or "Of course." This makes it easier to follow the dialogue because you're already prepared for common replies. Let's do a quick round. I'll give you the first line. You guess the possible reply. Do you need any help? Maybe, "No, I'm fine," or "Yes, please." How's your day going? Maybe pretty good, or not so great. This mental guessing game keeps your brain alert during real watching. Now, let's talk about half-speed decoding. If a movie scene is too fast, you can play it at 0.5 or 0.75 speed for training. This gives you time to hear the connections between words. Then you switch back to normal speed and try again. The slower version acts like a bridge for your listening skills. Here's a demonstration. Normal speed. I thought you said you were ready. Slow version. I thought you said you were ready. Now normal again. I thought you said you were ready. See how the slow version makes the fast one easier? Something else that will help you is learning to ignore what doesn't matter. In a movie, not every word is important for following the story. If two characters are chatting about the weather while waiting for a train, you don't need to understand every detail of that small talk. Just catch the main mood and move on. This helps you stay relaxed and focused on key moments. Let's practice filtering. I'll give you a sentence with extra detail. You pick out only the main idea. It was raining all morning, but then the sun came out and we decided to go for a walk in the park. The main idea is, we went for a walk in the park. This filtering skill keeps you from getting overwhelmed. Now, I want you to practice intonation shadowing, not just copying the words, but the rise and fall of the voice exactly. This will make your listening more sensitive to emotional cues. Try this line with me. I can't believe you did that. Rising at believe, falling at did that. Now this one. Are you sure about this? Rising at the end for the question. When you can copy intonation patterns perfectly, you start recognizing them automatically in movies. Another listening challenge in films is overlapping action sounds. Doors closing, footsteps, cars starting, while characters are speaking. To train for this, you can simulate background noise while practicing. Play a movie scene and at the same time have low background sounds like cafe noise or soft music. This forces your brain to focus harder on the main speech. Here's a quick example. Imagine you hear, "We'll meet you at the station." But in the background, you hear people chatting and a train horn. Your goal is to keep your ear locked on the main sentence without letting the background distract you. Now, let's do compression recognition again because it's one of the most common reasons learners miss lines. Could you becomes coulda. Would you becomes woulda. Did you becomes didja. These are everywhere in movies. Repeat after me. Coulda pass me the salt? Woulda mind closing the door? Didja hear about the meeting? If you get used to saying these quickly, you'll hear them instantly when they pop up on screen. Something else you should practice is scene paraphrasing. After a short movie segment, restate what happened using different words. This proves you understood and also builds your speaking flexibility. For example, original scene. She told him she couldn't make it to the party, so he went alone. Your paraphrase could be, she said she couldn't go, so he went by himself. Same meaning, different words. This habit makes your English more versatile and helps you remember the scene more deeply. Let's do a role play before we finish this part. I'll be character A. You'll be character B. A. We need to talk about what happened yesterday. B. Your reply. A. I didn't expect you to react like that. B. Your reply. This back and forth forces you to listen closely, respond quickly, and stay in English. Exactly the skill you want for understanding movies without subtitles. If you keep combining scene looping, answer anticipation, half-speed decoding, filtering, intonation shadowing, background noise focus, compression recognition, and paraphrasing. You'll notice a huge difference in how long you can watch without subtitles before you feel lost. And soon, that subtitle-free time will stretch to an entire film. At this stage, you've built the habits, the awareness, and the listening stamina to handle real movie English without relying on subtitles. But here's the important truth. Your improvement will keep going as long as you keep practicing consistently. The worst thing you can do now is stop and think, "I've got it," and stop training your ears. Because listening skills are like muscles. If you keep using them, they get stronger. If you don't, they get weaker. One of the most powerful things you can do going forward is to keep a rotation list of movies or shows you cycle through for practice. That way, you're not starting from scratch every time. You revisit familiar content and add new ones gradually. This mix keeps your brain challenged but also gives it comfort in the familiar. Let's imagine your rotation list has 5 movies. Each week, you watch 1 or 2 scenes from each. Some you know well. You focus on speed and shadowing. Others are newer. You focus on catching the story and main vocabulary. By mixing, you keep your skills active without feeling bored. Another thing to remember is daily mini listening. You don't have to watch a whole movie to keep improving. Even 1 short scene per day can keep your ear sharp. The key is quality and consistency, not just quantity. Let's do a micro session together. Here's a short movie-style exchange. Character: A. How was your day? Character B. Pretty good, but a bit long. Now, listen again and shadow. How was your day? Pretty good, but a bit long. One more time. Now speed it up slightly. This is how you can get a quick, effective practice in just a few minutes. Now, let's focus on emotional context guessing. Even if you miss words, the emotion of a scene can tell you a lot about the meaning. If voices are calm and steady, the topic is probably neutral. If voices are loud, fast, or shaky, it might be an argument or urgent situation. Here's a quick exercise. I'll say the same sentence in 3 different emotional tones, and you tell me what feeling you think it carries. I can't believe it. Happy tone. I can't believe it. Angry tone. I can't believe it. Shocked tone. You see how much you can understand just from sound alone? Movies give you this emotional map every time. Another technique for your long-term growth is scene scripting. After watching a scene, write it down from memory as close as you can. Then check with the subtitles or transcript to see how close you were. This deepens both your listening accuracy and your ability to hold spoken English in your short-term memory. Let's try a tiny version. I'll give you a quick scene to remember. Character: A. Let's meet at the usual place tomorrow at 6. Character B. All right, I'll be there. Now, without looking, repeat it back to yourself. Then check. Did you get all the words, or did you change something? That's exactly how scene scripting works. You should also keep training with compression awareness, because movie English loves to squish words together. We've practiced did you becoming didja, going to becoming gonna, want to becoming wanna, but keep expanding your list. Here's a fresh set. Have to becomes hafta. Supposed to becomes supposed to. Got you becomes gotcha. Let's drill them now. I have to go now. You're supposed to be here earlier. I gotcha a new book. And don't forget about unexpected vocabulary drops. Sometimes movies throw in a sudden slang word or idiom. If you don't know it, don't panic. Watch the characters' reactions, the tone, and the action. You can often guess the meaning without pausing to check. That's real listening skill. Let's practice. I'll give you a made-up sentence with a word you might not know. He's been acting really snorby lately. Even if snorby is new, the rest of the line plus the tone can tell you whether it's positive or negative. Now, one of the final skills I want you to strengthen is story summarizing after watching. This is when you finish a movie, or even just a scene, and give a quick summary in English, focusing only on the main points. It's a great way to confirm you understood. For example, after watching a scene where two friends plan a surprise party, you might say, they talked about the party, decided the location, and agreed not to tell the birthday person. It's short, but it proves you followed the key details. Before we close, let's do a role play that combines everything we've been working on. I'll be character A, you'll be character B. Pay attention to tone, speed, and emotional cues. Fast, urgent. We need to leave right now. They're already here. B. Your reply. A. Calm, steady. Okay, let's just take a deep breath first. B. Your reply. This kind of exercise is the bridge between training and real movie watching because you're reacting naturally in English to different tones and speeds. And here's the final point I want you to remember. Your goal is not to understand every movie in every detail right away. Your goal is to build enough listening strength that you can follow the story, enjoy the experience, and stay in English without getting frustrated. Every scene you watch, every line you shadow, every prediction you make, it's all part of building that ability. If you keep practicing with the strategies we've covered, shadowing, connected speech drills, prediction, scene looping, emotion matching, compression awareness, audio-only listening, role play, and summarizing, your progress will be unstoppable. One day, you'll press play on a movie you've never seen before. No subtitles, and you'll watch it all the way through, laughing at the jokes, feeling the emotions, following the twists. And you'll realize you didn't need the subtitles because the language lives in your mind now. So keep going, keep watching, keep listening, and most importantly, keep enjoying every moment of the story. That's how movies will not only entertain you, but also transform your English forever.